This is Ion Sullivan. I am Mike McGuire, your host. Joined today, as we are each week, by the chairman, Rob Doherty. Rob, afternoon, how's your day going?
Today's going pretty good. I mean, I just got back from Newport last week, Newport, Rhode Island. Let me tell you, that is a beautiful place.
Beautiful place. On the water there.
We stayed at this place called Goat Island.
Yep.
It's very nice. A little pricey, but very nice.
Very nice.
And it's
Your wife's not concerned about it being pricey.
Oh, she's not concerned about that at all. It's just me and her, so I don't have a little jockey bear,
All right.
digging up on me.
Yep.
Douglas still calls, but what are you gonna do?
What are you going to do?
What are you gonna do?
Soon he'll have his wife to keep him.
Oh, I can't wait till he gets married.
That'll be great.
Because he's living in the house next door. I'm going to go over there all the time.
Absolutely.
I'm going to be knocking on the door at 10 o'clock at night. Hey, what's up, Dougie?
And he can't say it's not your house.
I'm going to be like, hey, just seeing, I just need some mayonnaise here, buddy.
That's all.
Yeah.
That's all. So summer is moving along here in the Catskills.
3 weeks left.
3 weeks left, and then we get to the wonderful best part of the year.
My best part of the year by a mile. I mean, it's 94 degrees outside today. I will take 48 degrees and a slight breeze any day of the week.
Pretty good. So we've spoken a little bit about the dumpster fire that we affectionately refer to as the Town of Highland government.
Yeah, it's not going well down there.
And it continues to, folks, it matters who you put in office, and it matters what their preparation is. And so as a setup, remind you, for our audience, we've had a supervisor who doubles as the Ayatollah of the Delaware.
Yeah.
And he has decided that he does not like the town clerk.
Well, from what I understand, one of the council people is currently running for that position.
Oh, the deputy supervisor.
Yeah.
She's running for that position.
Correct.
So the setup is
so it's an inside straight here.
right. You got John Pizzolatto, the supervisor.
Yeah.
The person that he handpicked to be his deputy.
Yeah.
Is running to be the clerk, and so they're using town taxpayer dollars to fund a report that was put together by the Bonadeo Group, and you and I are familiar with the Bonadeo Group.
We use them at the county several times.
We use them several times at the county, a reputable accounting firm.
Yeah, they are.
And they were retained by Harris Beach, who we also used at the county.
Correct.
A reputable law firm. And
to say the least,
Ion Sullivan has gotten themselves a copy of this report. Okay. Which is a public document, which is foilable from the Town of Highland. My understanding is tonight there'll be a meeting at the Town of Highland. That's August the 12th. And they'll be going into executive session to talk about this document.
So it doesn't matter if they go into executive session or not, because I saw Facebook posts from the beleaguered supervisor talking about stuff that happened in executive session. Out on Facebook.
Well, that's his idea of transparency.
Well, that's illegal.
It's illegal. It's not supposed to be done that way. There's a reason. The open meetings law is set up to ensure transparency and to ensure that items are dealt with in public. I know that we dealt with that a couple of times about, what do you mean we haven't talked about this in the back yet? And
people actually said that out loud.
They said it out loud, and your refrain always was motion, second, discussion.
Correct.
And here we are to discuss it.
Here you go.
But we didn't discuss it in the back.
And you had this material since last Friday.
Right.
It's a week later, and you've had plenty of time to look it up.
Right.
There's nothing I've ever sprung on people.
So the plan, as I understand it, they didn't speak to me about it, but as I have been told by reputable sources, the plan was to have the town attorney read this 8-page document.
Well, hold on.
Evidence.
Now, I thought that he had read part of this report, like a prelim of this report.
Right. So there was a preliminary report that was done early in the summer, maybe May or June.
Okay.
That came out, and now this is Bonadeo's final report.
Okay. So the first report seemed to be a little damaging to Sue.
In places it was.
Okay.
In places it was, but when you really, as you always do, and as you've always instructed, you never take statistics at face value. You got to drill down and understand what they mean.
Correct.
So this now is the final report, and it's a 9-page document, but the first page is a photograph. So there's 8 pages of substance here.
Okay, so now, just before I get into this report, before we get into this report, I saw on Facebook as well that both years, last 2 years, all the taxes were collected.
Correct.
All the taxes went to the county.
Correct.
Okay. Nancy Buck signed off on them.
That is correct.
And the supervisor signed off on them.
Correct.
I believe it was a 31-cent one-time discrepancy, and the other one was like 6 or 7 cents. So he signs off on these documents with the county, treasurer.
Correct.
Okay. And so
because he, by the town law, is the treasurer of the town.
Yeah, correct.
So he's the chief fiscal officer, which to me is just remarkable, because here is all this cloak and dagger stuff about finance, and he's the one that's responsible for finance in the town.
So if there's any misgivings inside this report, it would fall at the feet of the treasurer.
Of the treasurer, correct. Ultimately, he's responsible.
Okay.
Ultimately, he is responsible.
So I saw those 2 documents.
Yep.
And he signed off on it, and it's less than 50 cents over 2 years.
Correct.
Okay. So how much did this report cost?
Okay. So let's set the stage here. So the plan was that this was going to be read in public today.
You can't do that unless it's a public document.
Correct. So apparently, I'm told, I wouldn't know firsthand, that another lawyer who has a little bit of experience with municipal law and open meetings law whispered in the ear of the town lawyer that you're on a collision course with a disaster if this goes out in public, and if it goes out in public and the document itself is in public. And even if the document is public, you can't talk about employee discipline in public anyway.
Well, they have several times.
Well, of course they have.
They've had a meeting where they talked about removing the town clerk.
Correct.
Okay, which you cannot do.
You cannot do.
They talked about diminishing her role.
Well, they didn't talk about it. They did it. They took her computer away on February 25th. They didn't give her a computer until sometime in May or June.
And then from what I understand there, that computer, she basically played solitaire on that computer.
It's got none of the software.
It has no software in it.
Right.
And now you have an attorney sitting there the whole time.
The whole time.
Right? And he says, I was unaware of this.
Right.
I mean, once a month, you sit 10 feet from the person. Okay? You don't have to call up and do anything like that.
Right.
Once a month, you're sitting 10 feet
Twice
from the person.
a month, because they have a workshop and a regular meeting.
Okay.
Yeah.
Does he show up to both?
Who knows?
Well, I know he shows up to the town board meeting.
Right. Okay. So let's say once a month.
So once a month, as far as we're apart, they're apart.
Correct.
He'd be like, "Hey, Sue, you have that computer back yet? Oh, you don't? Hey, Johnny, why don't we get the computer back?" But he never did that.
Never did that. And her office, which he invaded on more than one occasion without any authority, because the supervisor doesn't have the authority to go into the town clerk's office. She's an elected official.
Correct.
So several times they were in her office, and her office is less than 10 feet from where they meet once a month. And again, not only did they not check to see that she had her computer, but on at least 3 occasions, he reported to me as her attorney that she did have a computer, and reported to a senior partner in his firm that she had a computer.
So he reported to you that she had a computer when she did not have a computer.
That is correct.
And he reported to one of his bosses.
Correct.
That she had a computer when she did not have a computer.
That is correct.
Okay.
And the result of that, for the hardworking people and the good people in the town of Highland, we love the town of Highland.
Oh, well, I love the town of Highland.
Yeah. There were days when it's a two-person office, the town clerk and the deputy, if the deputy was off or out to lunch or had a doctor's appointment, dental appointment, whatever, they had to close the office because the town clerk had no computer. She couldn't do anything. You couldn't pay your taxes. You couldn't get a hunting license. You couldn't get a fishing license. You couldn't do anything.
Nothing.
Marriage license. You could not transact any business for about 6 months. That's the way that they functioned.
That's crazy.
It's crazy. And if that's not diminishing the authority without a public referendum, I don't know what is.
Correct.
All right. So this report comes out. Again, let's set the stage. At last report, and we know that the Bonadio calculator doesn't go below $50,000.
No, we understand that.
But a reputable firm, nonetheless.
Yeah.
As of last night, on good authority, the town has expended about $54,000 on this 8-page document.
$54,000.
$54,000. Now, I want to put that in perspective.
Okay.
The median household income in the town of Highland is $62,000.
Mm-hmm.
And they have 16.2% of their population live below the poverty level. And the town sees fit to spend $54,000 to find essentially Geraldo's vault.
Correct.
But what's remarkable is the scope of the investigation was supposed to, according to Bonadio, turn up theft and fraud.
Well, is it according to Bonadio or according to...
According to the report,
mm-hmm.
what was told to the Bonadio group by the town's administration.
Okay, because I just want to be clear. This investigation commenced with the censuring of the current town clerk based on various concerns and violations within her role as previously determined by the town. So I just want to be clear.
Yep.
So the town says she's done bad things. Okay. I just want to back up a little bit. I want you to know that this all started when the supervisor, John Pizzolatto, asked to change minutes in previous meetings.
Correct.
And she refused.
Correct.
And then this ensued. I want you to understand that this is payback. Okay?
This is pure payback.
At the town's expense.
What's remarkable to me as a litigator is the investigation commenced. That means it started with the censuring of the current town clerk. Shouldn't the censuring come at the end of the investigation, not the end, not the beginning?
So we're not clear on anything.
Correct.
We're going to hire this company.
Right.
Spend $54,000 of the taxpayers' money.
Right.
Okay. On this investigation, but we're going to censure her before it even starts.
Correct.
So just in case there's anything wrong,
right,
we got a good head.
We got a good jump.
So now, this is a question I would have.
Yep.
To an election law attorney.
Mm-hmm.
Whoever's running against her, I don't know the name of the person, but that person has basically been handed a $54,000
campaign
contribution by Johnny Pizzolatto and the rest of the town board.
Not to mention 6 months of impeaching the credibility of this candidate.
Said clerk, yeah.
Of the clerk.
Yeah, correct.
I mean, and when we talk impeachment, folks, let's not soft sell this. The state police were there at least twice.
They were called on twice.
To confiscate her records.
Correct.
Based on nothing.
Correct.
The DA was called, and he's like, what am I investigating? What are the allegations? We don't know, but we're going to find something.
Yeah. You tell me the person, I'll tell you the crime.
That's right.
And so, obviously, Sue is the person.
Is the person.
And they're finding the crime.
They're going to find the crime.
All right.
Yeah, they're investigating a person, not a crime.
Correct.
So if you continue with that paragraph, it really sets the stage for what we're dealing with here. So it says that they had the censuring of the town clerk based on various concerns and violations within her role. Well, whose concerns and what were the violations?
Correct.
Because after the report, they don't find violations. as confidential information about the town and its employees was allegedly falsified, forged documents regarding a FOIL request, general improper and untimely handling of FOIL requests, untimely processing of transactions, incomplete cash receipts, negligence of duties that led to the town's vital statistics software and licensing lapsing, etc. That didn't come from Bonadio. That came from Pizzolatto.
Correct.
And that's page 1 of the report.
I mean, if you're going to start it with a bang.
And at the time they start this, they have zero evidence. Now, in law, we talk about probable cause. Mm-hmm. So you've got some information, and you've got some video of drug transactions, or you've got a dead body, you've got somebody beaten up, and you have probable cause. This investigation starts with no probable cause.
Well, it does start with probable cause, according to them.
According to them.
She refused to change the minutes
That's right.
of a meeting.
Right.
Okay. How dare you not do what I'm telling you to do? Well, it's illegal, John. I can't do that.
Right.
I don't care. They need to be changed. Mm-hmm. So they're changing minutes to a meeting. The whole purpose of the minutes is to get a correct historical account of what happened.
Correct.
So if we're changing minutes, in administrations, that's not his either, by the way.
Correct.
Okay? So he's going back to when Donnie Haas was the supervisor. And he's changing those minutes.
Right.
Whether he was at the meeting or not. So he doesn't have a correct historical perspective.
Correct. Nor does he have any authority.
Correct.
To do that.
Okay.
So that's where this starts off. And if ever we were dealing with, now folks, we saw the news, we saw what went on by the certain political opponents of our current president looking to investigate a person and find a crime. It has come home, and the reason here at Eye on Sullivan we're spending time on this is not going to be the last time we're going to see this. This is absolute weaponizing of the government at
Correct.
Taxpayer expense.
Correct.
Looking to discredit somebody who's just showing up to work. The $54,000, by the way, that this report costs so far is more than the town clerk's salary.
Correct. This is on top of the building, by the way, that the town bought, okay?
Right.
That they said there was going to be 20 parking spots at.
Right.
Then they said there was going to be 6 parking spots at. Mm-hmm. And now they said they're going to make it a town park.
Right.
Okay? So you don't need a building. And I'm not saying I don't live in the town of Highland, but I don't think they need a town park, okay? There's plenty of park space in the town of Highland.
Well, there's the whole corner there.
Correct.
Right across the street, that's a park.
So they're just spending money.
They're going to build a park across the street from the park.
Correct. So they're just spending, taxpayers' money on, which is, wait till they get the tax bill this winter.
Yeah.
Wait.
So let's look at the procedures that were followed. Okay. Interviews, process walkthroughs with town personnel and other applicable individuals to gain an understanding of the processes and systems utilized within the scope areas. Individuals interviewed included the following. All right, now, you're thinking there may be some anomalies in the town clerk's office. Folks, this is not like the city of Rochester or the city of Middletown or even the town of Thompson where you have many people work in the clerk's office.
You do not.
This is a clerk's office of 2.
Correct.
So wouldn't you want to speak to maybe the town clerk?
You would think that you'd want to get her account of what transpired. Well, first you'd have to levy charges against her.
Well, you would think.
And then say, or ask, how do you do these transactions? Why is it done this way? Questions like that, so you have an understanding of where the problem is.
So the point is, folks, that if you're looking in good faith to investigate processes, I think the only person that does the processes would be a good place to start. I analogize it this way. Take a great chef, and you know lots of them.
Yes, I do.
Put him in someone else's kitchen. They're going to spend the first 2 hours saying this guy's incompetent, because he's going to have his tools in a different place.
Correct.
He's going to have stuff arranged differently. This guy's not going to like the way the flow of the line goes.
Correct.
Well, it's the same thing in anybody's office.
The
schematic
of the kitchen.
So, I mean, this is what they're doing. Is they're looking at the processes. How are things done in this office? You might want to talk to the person that runs the office.
That might be a good idea.
Or maybe you might have talked to the recently retired prior town clerk who ran that same office for many years.
Over 20 years.
Over 20 years.
Correct.
And find out. And the current town clerk was her deputy. So it stands to reason that she would have probably carried on the procedures that were done before.
Correct.
It makes sense.
Now, understanding, she doesn't know if they're correct. She's just doing what she was taught
This is what
and
was
moving
done.
forward. Okay? But go ahead.
This is the way we've always done it.
Correct.
Doesn't make it right, but it's the way we've always done it. You don't have a person coming around saying, well...
Now, Mike's saying that to bust my chops because when we were in the county, people said that to me almost on a daily basis the first year we were there. And I'd be like, well, that doesn't mean anything to me because it's wrong. And this is how we're going to do it.
And folks, if you've ever been in the government center, we're going to digress for just a minute. And you know where the legislative chamber is, and the legislators have their offices back there. And then there's the county manager's office, the county attorney's office, the auditor's office, and then IT, Lauren Green's office, and then the staircase, and then you continue down with purchasing and whatnot. Folks, it was like a wave went right down the hallway. First, Josh learned that we're not doing things the same old way anymore.
Correct.
Then, I came in feeling that way. Yeah. And then the auditor realized quickly we're not doing things the same old way.
Correct.
Lauren Green learned more in doing things the same old way when he and the wonderful Mike Brooks started to design a wireless internet system. And, of course, then down the line with planning then really didn't know what was going on. And then we brought a new planning commissioner and did a great job. And then, of course, purchasing and right down to personnel. It went right down the hallway.
Correct.
We knew things were not being done the same way. Okay, so let's understand that if we're sincere in wanting to understand the processes and we're not looking to just pick a person, find a crime, we're going to speak to the person that has run that office.
Correct.
Maybe we would want to speak to the accounting firm who has done the accounting for the town for the last several years, who happens to be Cooper Arias, who's a very reputable accounting firm.
Correct.
They might be people that would help out on processes. And we didn't speak to them.
They didn't speak to the town clerk.
They didn't speak to the town clerk.
Or to the accountant firm.
Or to the prior town clerk who had run that office for 20 years.
Then I see the first group of people that are spoken to is town supervisor and other board members.
Right.
Now, here's my question on that.
Right.
Is it all the board members?
We don't know.
Or just some board members?
It's it's shameful, quite frankly. And Bonadio, again, we say nothing bad about Bonadio. I hired them. You hired them. They're a very reputable company. But clearly here, they were hired to back into corruption and look desperately for it.
So now, again, let's go to the other board members that they interviewed.
Mm-hmm.
One of the people is the person running
for that office.
Who is running for that office.
Right.
Okay, so it's the same person who said out loud in a board meeting, and there's a lot of cash in the safe.
Correct.
Okay, I just want to back this up. If you're saying someone's corrupt and there's a lot of cash in the safe, okay, that means that the town is in possession of that money.
Correct.
So there's no crime here.
Correct.
They are in possession of the money. Whether it's in cash, check, or however they have it, they're in possession. But she was trying to dirty her up at a meeting by saying, and there's a lot of cash in the safe. I wouldn't care if there's $1 million in cash in the safe. Okay?
It's there.
It's there. It's in the possession of the town.
And maybe it should have been deposited. Maybe there's some of those mechanical things. Maybe the town needed to look at hiring another person to go in there and work. It's a lot of work for a 2-person office. I don't know.
If you have a legitimate safe, I'm talking about one of those old school safes.
Which I'm sure they do.
Right? A lot of times people just make deposits once a week.
Right.
Okay?
Mm-hmm.
And they, go through the week, blah, blah, blah. And then they, and I'm not saying it's proper.
Right.
And then they take their slips.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's not like Nancy Buck who has to go to 5 banks every day.
Every day.
Okay?
Right.
It's not like that, okay? And then you take your little slip and you fill out the front and the back, and then you walk across the street to Jeff Bank, and then you hand it in.
And just for people who might have ill thoughts about Nancy going to the bank every day, she never goes alone. She brings her friends Smith and Wesson with her.
Well, there is a deputy that goes along with
Correct.
her. And
correct.
Okay.
So we're talking to other board members. I mean, one would think, there's only 5, that if you're commissioned to do a $54,000 report,
you would talk to the supervisor and the 4 board members.
And you would name them. You would say, I spoke to this person, this person, this person, and we were... Now, we know that the supervisor and at least one of the board members has a vendetta that they're willing to have the town pay for.
Correct.
And...
I'm telling you now, Mike, this is a campaign contribution.
No question.
Okay.
And if the town supervisor, as the treasurer, was aware of anomalies in the accounting, they fall at his feet.
Correct.
He's the one responsible. He's the one that needs to be voted out of office.
Now, she is exactly that. Their clerk.
Right.
Okay? I mean, that's like going to a bank and having a problem with a bank and saying, this person, blah, blah, blah. At the end of the day, it's the person running the bank that's in charge.
Correct.
Okay?
Correct.
I mean, Nancy Buck won't say, my clerk did X, Y, and Z.
Correct.
She'll say, I'm the elected official. I'm the person in charge. What's the issue?
And this report gets commissioned on March 13th of 2025.
Wow.
John Pizzolatto is the supervisor.
For a year and 2.5 months.
January 1, 24.
Yeah.
So John, you're the supervisor. You're the chief fiscal officer of the town.
Mm-hmm.
You just let this go on for 15, 16 months, and only then do you commission a report, and you're the first person they list as having spoken to. So if you're aware of anything, why don't you do anything about it?
Correct.
You did nothing. And the other board members, folks, let's strip away the illusion right now. Those board members are probably not even there when the clerk's office is open.
Correct.
So I'm not sure what any of them may have known, but once again, if they had known anything, why don't you deal with it? Next is the town bookkeeper. Okay, the town bookkeeper who works for the supervisor.
Correct.
Once again, if she has any information to offer, well, why did she wait 15 months and $54,000 to come up with it? Then the town's deputy clerk.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to talk to the clerk's number 2 and expect to get what from her when you don't talk to the clerk?
Correct.
And then the town's code enforcement officer. Well, certainly there's a good source for town clerk operations.
What does that have to do with town clerk operations?
The only nexus that I can make from it is that when they take in money for building permits, it usually is turned over to the clerk to deposit.
But I would think that they would fill out their own deposit tickets.
I would think that they probably would. And then the former, they didn't speak to the former town clerk. They speak to the former town code clerk, planning and zoning secretary.
But now, why wouldn't you speak to the former town clerk?
Well, who you might get accurate information, and when you start off to create a hit piece, a campaign contribution, you don't want accurate information. I remember in 7th grade learning about the scientific method. You start off with the null hypothesis, and you want to prove the opposite so that you're not inclined to want to get to the conclusion, then back into that.
Yeah.
You want to go where the evidence takes you.
I mean, that's how you write a thesis.
That's how you write a thesis. Exactly.
I wrote mine 265 pages later.
Right. So that's what you do. That's the scientific method. You don't speak to the people that all have an axe to grind. You speak to all the people.
Correct.
And you don't speak to the town clerk, the former town clerk. That would have given you 25 years of perspective, or the accounting firm that has accounted for the town for probably many, many years. Okay. Then they get bank statements, they go through some things, and they find some horrible anomalies. They find, folks, that there was some inconsistencies between the accounting in the building department and the accounting in the clerk's department, but we don't know where the problem was. It could have been in either place.
What?
Yeah, exactly. Like what?
So we don't know where the problem started. We just know that there is a problem.
Right.
So, again, we don't know, because they're not defining how the procedure's done, is the planning department filling out their own tickets,
right,
and basically handing them to the clerk, and the clerk just walks them over to the bank, and if there's a problem, that's on the
building department.
On the building department,
sure,
and the clerk would have no idea.
And according to this document, that
and now keep in mind,
all that accurate,
Mr. Pizzolatto, as the treasurer, is the one responsible
ultimately
to make sure that's correct.
Ultimately.
Correct.
And if Mr. Pizzolatto suspected that there was some anomalies, it's up to Mr. Pizzolatto to deal with it. Less than 15 months waiting, and then you get a report.
A $54,000 report.
A $54,000 report. And they say that they reviewed the monthly bank statements and canceled checks, looking for activity of unusual or suspicious transactions. Well, who said anything about unusual or suspicious transactions? Such as checks written out to cash, checks written out to the town clerk, unexpected or unusual individuals, transfers to or from unknown accounts, outgoing wire transfers, or credit or debit card transactions. Clearly, that information came from probably those first few people he spoke to, the supervisor, some board members, and the bookkeeper. Spoiler alert, at the very end of this, they don't find any of that. They find no checks made out to cash, no checks made out to the clerk, but we have had lots of public comment about the $4 million that the clerk stole.
Okay, that John verified was given to Nancy Buck.
Correct.
Okay, so John, as the supervisor and chief financial officer of the town, signed off that all that money went to the clerk. Went to the treasurer of the county.
Correct.
But I think that they read off this attorney had read part of a document, and I don't see where it is in here at all.
Correct. Yeah, I don't know. I don't have that document.
But this is the final report.
This is the final report.
And they don't mention any $4 million missing.
They do not mention $4 million. What they mention in here, and it may have helped clear it up if they spoke to the clerk, the county treasurer. And by the way, let's just add this in. They paid $54,000 for this. Angel Chevalier could have done this for them. Wouldn't have cost the town anything. That's what the county auditor does.
That's exactly what she does, and there's nobody better.
There's nobody better at all, and I can assure you that she would have spoken to everyone, because we've seen her in action, and she speaks to everyone, and she won't give up the report until she has spoken to everyone.
Okay. We asked her to do a report, and somebody bought a $2.25 cup of coffee.
Correct.
Okay. In San Francisco.
That is correct.
Okay. And that, she drilled down on that like you couldn't even imagine. Let me tell you something. if you work in the county and you deal with vouchers, okay, if it is not literally, I'm not joking with you, to the penny, okay, it's coming back.
Absolutely.
There is no rounding errors.
Nope.
There's no 1 cent, 2 cent, none of that.
Nope.
Okay. If you want, and let me tell you something. So just so you know how the county government works real fast, you have the legislature, and then the legislature has 4 employees.
Right.
Okay. Has the clerk, Annie Martin, has the attorney, whoever that might be. It's currently Mr. Robert Freehill. Has the county manager, which is Josh Potosik. Okay, and then it has the county auditor. Okay, so when we go as a group and ask, as a majority, and ask for something, the auditor has to go do it.
That's correct.
They work for us.
They work for you. Right.
And they come back, and let me tell you something. To the penny.
Correct.
Okay, there's some stuff in here where Bonadillo's like, well, it was off, blah, blah. In fact, the 2 documents that went to Nancy Buck that was off, one by 31 cents and one by, I think, 6 or 7 cents, if that went to Angela, that would have went back.
It would have went back.
It would have went back and said, you need to figure this out.
Trust me, folks, I consider Angela a friend and a colleague, and a certain part of my current practice involves sending vouchers to the county for various indigent representatives, clients that I have. I have sent them in and had literally inverted numbers. Instead of it being 09, it was 90. Just that's a typing error.
Yeah, correct.
That thing was back on my lap so quick your head spin doesn't add up.
Correct.
So, I mean, but that's. And you sleep well at night knowing that you got somebody
let me
looking
tell
at
you.
things.
And you know me with how I ran the county,
right?
Okay, that is who you want. We got when I said I want exact information, we got exact information. Exact. So all right, so we're moving on here.
Yeah. So what actually was found, and this is where this report loses credibility and is fatally flawed. They say that there was, over a 3-year period, and interestingly enough, they only looked at the period of time that this town clerk was there. They didn't look back to find out if she inherited problems.
Correct, which you should have done.
Which you should have done.
Correct.
If you really wanted to look at the operation of the office. They find that there was $5.3 million over 3 years more deposited than taken in. And there was no way to track where the money came from. Well, folks, what that means is that anyone who paid their taxes in the town of Highland would now be being foreclosed.
Correct.
Because if in fact there was no records of who paid for what section, block, and lot, then they wouldn't be able to just randomly say, we're going to consider this lot paid for.
Correct.
So clearly, Bonadillo loses all credibility, and this document is fatally flawed because they're saying $5.3 million was deposited more than was recorded as taken in. Well, that's as clear that they didn't speak to anybody that understood. Maybe their way they do the accounting is wrong. 1977 fall, I struggled through my one accounting class. I've survived since then, but never wanted any part of accounting. I have friends that are accountants. That's good enough for me.
Correct.
So it's like the chef in the kitchen that says you don't know what you're doing because it's not his kitchen.
Correct.
So you're in her kitchen. You don't ask her how this is done. But yet the county has all the taxes attributed to each parcel paid. So clearly there had to be a way that they were cross-referencing check to parcel paid.
Correct.
Or else they'd have all this money in there and not have any taxes paid.
Otherwise, the whole town of Highland would be up for auction.
Correct. Which, if you leave him in office long enough, it might be.
I have to tell you.
So, as we go through the rest of this
is like unbelievable.
It's remarkable. Okay. They asked for policies and procedures. And they said, in response to our documentation request, it was noted that no documented policies or procedures exist related to the spending and collection of money, and then they put in gratuitously in the town clerk's office. The town did not have an organizational chart or other relevant policies and procedures available for us to view. We were only able to obtain a personnel manual. Well, folks, policies and procedures is an executive function. That's the superintendent, the supervisor's job.
Correct.
You come in January 24, and first thing you say is, "Let me see the policies and procedures manual." I remember in the winter of 2020, you asked for that.
Correct.
And we undertook a 3-year process of revising policies, everything from, of course, at the county level, we have everything from procurement to human resources to the sheriff's office has hundreds of policies and procedures.
Hiring practices, everything.
Yeah. I mean, first of all, folks, the clerk's office doesn't spend money.
Correct.
The clerk's office collects money. If there's issues with procurement, there should be a policy. Maybe they have it. But that's a town issue,
correct,
not a clerk issue. And they're trying to lay it at the feet of the clerk when it is the first guy they spoke to, the supervisor.
Correct.
That's his job.
Correct.
You're the chief executive officer. And you're the treasurer.
Correct.
It's just amazing. Then they offer at page 3, "We did not find any suspicious or unusual checks. Nothing was made out to the town clerk, to cash, or other unexpected or unusual individuals."
Wait. Start from the beginning on that again.
Yeah.
They did not find any suspicious or unusual checks. Nothing made out to the town clerk. Then they start clarifying what it is.
Right.
Cash or unexpected or unusual. So there's no foul play whatsoever.
Nothing whatsoever. Zero. Basically, the town clerk disperses money to the town bookkeeper to pay for the town.
Yep.
And to the county treasurer. That's where she disperses the money from.
So I just want everyone to remember, we're talking about the report from Bonadeo concerning the town clerk in the town of Highland, which is an absolute dumpster fire.
Right.
John Pizzolatto, without a resolution, asked the town to spend this kind of $54,000.
Well, he did a sleight of hand.
Okay, go ahead.
He had the law firm commission the report.
Okay.
And then they paid the law firm.
Ah.
So a little sleight of hand. It's a legal bill.
Yeah.
Which also is somewhat dishonest. Because if this was in fact commissioned by the law firm,
they should set up the parameters,
of course,
of what we're looking for, and if it truly went through that law firm, okay, Harris Beach is a serious law firm, okay. You have interviewed more than the town supervisor and other board members. It would have been all board members.
There's only 4 of them.
Okay. You would have spoken to the town clerk, and the former town clerk.
Of course.
Okay. The town FOIL officer. Here's my question: are we talking about this one or the one before?
Well, that's an interesting point to go back to that. Up until the time that John Pizzolatto improperly started stripping the town clerk's duties away, she was the town FOIL officer.
Okay.
But in March or April or May, he stripped that away from her. So now they're talking to a FOIL officer that has just been on the job for a couple of weeks.
So now you're not allowed to diminish an elected official's duties.
Correct.
But he did it anyway.
Well, he took away her computer, so that's pretty much diminishing it.
I mean, he does everything. He does whatever he wants to do.
Whatever he wants. Just like the Ayatollah of the Delaware.
Okay. So there's no credit card payments, wires, any form of transactions that seem suspicious.
So we have, I believe it was the husband of the person running against her.
Yeah.
Gets up at a meeting and demands to know what's going on with the $4.2 million theft.
Wait, is this the village of Monticello or is this the town of Highland?
This is the town of Highland.
Okay, because we've had this before, where the husband stands up,
right,
and asks crazy questions,
right,
and then starts berating other members of the board, right, and elected officials,
right,
on behalf of the wife who's sitting there, like, I don't know what's going on here.
I don't know who this is. This is just another crazy person who's standing up here. But I'm sure that person didn't identify themselves as the husband of the candidate running against the clerk.
Correct.
And then we
can't
get
make this up.
So. But what's important to me as a litigator is they find no suspicious or unusual checks, none. So where was the probable cause to even allege that or accuse her of that, and then have her sit with that scarlet letter for 6 months and have people coming up plants? We know but you know that when public comment comes out, often it's choreographed.
No,
I've been told. So,
remember when they used to sit there and so Nadia Reich would point at the person to speak next.
Correct.
So she's sitting on the dais, right? And she would point at the next person.
She's orchestrating.
Yeah, to get up and speak. They would come in to the room, right? And they would wave at each other like these little half waves, right? Right? And of course, I'm standing there, sitting there paying attention. And then they would get up there and they would go. They had meetings. Mm-hmm. Beforehand, this is when we were in the legislature,
right?
At facilities that the county was giving money to, okay, organizations that we were giving money to, okay, we're sitting there. They were going to private meetings,
right?
Okay, on taxpayer-funded organizations,
right?
Kind of like an NGO type deal,
correct?
Right, yeah. And then they were having meetings on how to, come after me and you,
right? Exactly.
That actually happened.
At least they came out with good signs.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so now, upon request for bank reconciliations, we learned that they're not being completed by the town clerk for the 3 accounts she maintains. Okay. They're going to try to use that line against Sue.
Of course.
She has not had a computer in 6 months.
Correct.
She cannot do a bank reconciliation. She cannot do one. She does not have she doesn't have the material to do it.
And again, if the concern is bank reconciliations, wouldn't you want to speak to the group that billed the town for accounting services for the last however many years?
Correct.
And again, no aspersions about Cooper Arias. They're an outstanding firm.
No, I don't think that they asked them.
Probably not.
Because they got the answer they didn't want.
Correct. That's my point. This is a sham investigation.
Correct.
They don't talk to the people. They're saying, well, no bank reconciliations. Well, I've seen Cooper Arias work, and so have you.
Correct.
I can assure you that if there were no bank reconciliations, Cooper Arias would have picked that up in their audit.
Correct.
And so, look, wouldn't you think it would be logical, January of 2024, for the now incoming town treasurer and town supervisor to say, I want to see where I'm at.
Correct.
We're going to commission an audit of the town.
Correct.
And we're going to have it done. It's going to cost us, whatever, $10,000, $12,000.
Not $54,000.
Not $54,000. And we're going to have them do a full audit so we have a baseline. You did that.
Correct.
You worked through the county auditor, but you did that with a couple of departments. But you weren't looking to get anybody fired. You were looking to see, I want to see where we're at.
Correct. You have to understand your baseline. So as you're moving forward, you know what they truly need and what they truly can do without.
So there's 2 accounting softwares that they use. Mm-hmm. One is used by the building departments called IPS, and one is used by the clerk's office called BAS, and they're supposed to track all of the transactions.
Okay.
So they find over a 3-year period that there are some discrepancies between the 2. But then they say at page 4, it's unclear whether the errors lie in the building department or the clerk's office or both. So we've provided examples of these discrepancies and noted in our testing that we noted in our testing for each year. The total amount of the discrepancies, and remember, it wasn't discrepancies in the deposits, it's discrepancies in the accounting, which is being done in 2 separate offices, and they say, we don't know where the mistake was. Oh, but it doesn't say an investigation into the building department.
No.
Or the Town of Highland. It says the clerk's office. They say, we don't know where the discrepancies were. Well, the total amount of the discrepancies is about $400 over 3 years.
Let's back up here. So there's a discrepancy of $400
right
over 3 years. Mm-hmm. And they commissioned a $54,000 report.
Right.
Not an audit.
Not an audit. They could have gotten Cooper Arias or someone to do an audit, which would have answered these questions.
Correct.
And then they say, when comparing the BAS daily cash report to the checking account where the money goes, remember, this is the result of 2 separate offices, there was $5,422 more deposited in the bank than was logged in BAS in 2022. The total over the 3-year period was about $7,000 more in deposits to the bank than was recorded. $7,000 over 3 years. But they don't know where the mistakes were or if there were mistakes. But for 6 months, we've dealt with police. We've dealt with the district attorney's office. We've dealt with a $54,000 report. And we find out that there's more deposited than was recorded. Now, the recording there has to be accuracy there.
But they can't even tell you through this report
where the mistake was.
Where the mistake was.
No.
It could be in the building department.
Absolutely could be.
Okay? I mean, and again, I think that they make up their own deposit tickets, to be quite frank with you.
Very well may be. That would make sense. And again, this is the kind of thing that you probably could have gotten someone like Shannon in Nancy Buck's office to go for 2 weeks and take a look at this stuff.
2 weeks?
And try 2 days.
Yeah,
she'd have created the policies and procedures. See, if Pizzolatto really wanted to improve the efficiency of the town, there was things that he could have done, but he has no interest in that. He has an interest in targeting Sue, who wouldn't change minutes, and inserting his friend who's running against her.
That's what I keep saying to you. This is an in-kind donation.
Correct.
To the person running against Sue. Okay? Because they could have found out the answer to these questions by hiring someone to do an audit.
Correct.
Okay? Not a smear job.
Not a smear job.
So I still don't know where the $4 million is that they spoke of, that attorney read out loud somewhere and got the town in a tizzy. So now I just have a quick question here.
Yep.
The IPS system.
That's the building department.
And the BAS system is the clerk's office. Okay.
So the information comes across from the building department and is supposed to be data entered again. And apparently the BAS is to keep track of the funds, and then they go to the bank.
Okay. But we don't know how that works.
We don't know, and apparently Bonadio doesn't either. Why? Because they didn't ask.
You know what?
They didn't want to know.
If you paid me $5,000, I could have gave you this report.
Probably, because there's not a lot of answers there.
Correct.
Okay, so then we have the other area is DEC money that comes in, and that is money for fishing licenses, hunting licenses, and the like. So they show that the cash receipts per the DEC portal were $60 higher than the deposits in the bank in 2022.
I just want to point out, at no point were they lower.
No.
Okay? At no point are they lower.
Right.
Okay. Go ahead.
So over a 3-year period, there's about $240 more dollars in the system than was deposited in the bank. So they're finding $240 over a 3-year period. We're at the top of page 5.
Yeah.
Okay? But then they say, it's unclear what this difference indicates, And without proper bank account reconciliations during these time periods, it's unclear where these additional deposits came from.
Which, if they contacted Cooper Arias, they would have had the answer.
They would have had the answer. Or if they contacted the clerk and say, how does this work? And look, folks, from if you go back to where you started working before they had kiosks and credit cards, and you worked in a place, and you'd count the draw out at the end of the night, there was always going to be a deviation of a couple of dollars on a couple of $1,000 a day. It's going to happen. There's going to be mistakes. They're talking about $60 over 3 years.
Correct.
I mean, really? That was what they invested $54,000 for? And then in the tax account, there was just under $1 million more in deposits than was recorded in the systems in 2024. $1 million more was deposited.
So the town's on Easy Street here.
Town's on Easy Street. And now, folks, the tax is the easiest thing in the world because every dollar is tied to somebody's property.
Correct.
So,
and keep in mind, the county has an accounting
of it. So again, the answer to this...
And Mr. Pizzolo signed off
on it.
That all the deposits were made correctly, and we're talking about 37 cents in 2 years.
Right.
Okay, go ahead.
And in fact, he's the town treasurer.
Correct.
So we got just under $1 million more was deposited. Well, folks, once again, go to the people that are going to have the answers. Correct. If you want the answer. If you want the answer, ask the question to someone who knows the answer. If you don't want the answer, you're not talking to that person. Correct. They didn't want the answer because they didn't speak to the last clerk. They didn't speak to the current clerk. They didn't speak to the auditors.
Correct.
They clearly didn't want the answer.
And they didn't speak to the county treasurer.
Or the county treasurer.
Who would have answered this question in less than 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And it's not like they don't know Nancy Buck.
Correct.
They've worked with Nancy Buck before.
For years.
Okay? They would have had the answer in 5 minutes.
Bonadio worked with Nancy Buck almost continuously for the 4 years that we were there.
Correct.
So the summary on that paragraph is for the 3-year period between 2022 and 2024, there was a total variance of just under $5.4 million between all deposits made into the clerk's bank accounts versus transactions logged. Folks, that's just poppycock. You're telling me that she had no record of $5.4 million? The bank didn't call Nancy Buck and say these taxes have been paid?
Correct.
Obviously, there's records they just didn't want to take a look at or didn't want to ask about.
Yeah.
It would be impossible, based on current information we know to be available, to determine whether all cash collected for transactions was deposited appropriately, and whether all cash deposited is related to activity specified for that account. It's not impossible to know if you ask the auditors, because you're asking for 2022 to 2024. So by 2025, at least 2 of those years had been audited. It's not impossible to know. Correct. And I can assure you, having read more audit reports than I care to, if there was a $5.4 million discrepancy in a town with an annual operating budget of about $2 million, that would have popped up on page 1 of the audit report.
Correct.
I mean, and if there's a $5.4 million of funds that were unrecorded internally, then there would be $5.4 million worth of parcels going up for auction.
Correct. So one of the lines on page 6 is, based on our understanding of the management software systems and documentation currently provided to us. Now, they say that they don't have the bank reconciliations.
Right.
So I don't know what they're looking at. Okay?
Correct.
These appears to be a significant gaps in which transactions were not entered into record. If you don't have the bank reconciliations, you don't talk to the clerk, you don't talk to the former clerk, you don't talk to the accountant firm, you don't talk to the county treasurer.
Right.
You're not looking for the answer. You're just not looking for it.
And you don't ask Angela Chevalier to come down there and take a look at the stuff as a county auditor which she would certainly do.
Correct. Now, if you go on that same page, based on our review of the monthly bank statements, which they say they don't have,
right?
Okay, in other forms here, there were no deposits made in the account for February 2022, May 2023, October 2023, January 2024, March 2024, April 2024, and August. Despite there being, so they're saying 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 months, there was no money deposited in the bank, but yet they don't have the reconciliation sheets.
Well, they don't have the reconciliations, and so you've got no deposits for January. Okay, probably not a huge month because tax collection really gets started at the end of January. Or has to be paid by the end of January.
Yeah.
So January should be a huge month.
Yeah, correct.
February, July, December, April, these months. Well, how is it then that they paid the county the money that they owed the county in April if they had made no deposits in January or February? And then how did they operate the town? How did they make payroll if they made no deposits?
It's impossible.
It's not possible. It's not possible. So at the bottom of page 6, they say, timeliness is also an issue when remitting monthly revenue to the town per New York state law. The clerk is required to remit collected fees on or before the 15th day of the month following the date of collection. Furthermore, tax collections, including interest and penalties, should be remitted to the town at least weekly, remitted by the town. This occurs by the clerk writing a check from clerk accounts into the town's general fund to remit owed fees and collections. Per our review of bank statements and copies of canceled checks made available to us, there are several months where this did not occur during our scope period. Where was the supervisor when the money wasn't being transferred? Had they make payroll? Had they paid the electric bill? Where was the supervisor for a year and a half if there's no money being paid over?
I have no idea.
I mean, that falls at the feet of the treasurer, who's the supervisor.
But they don't even know how money is being recorded in this town.
Correct.
They can't tell whether the mistake is in the building department or the clerk's office on small money.
Correct.
Meanwhile, you're saying no deposits were made at all? I mean, how's that even possible?
It's not possible. But again, maybe answers could be gotten if you ask the people. I mean, you've got 25 years of records, and I'm pretty sure that Sue did not change significantly the operational procedures that were used by Doreen Hansen for 20 years. So the report goes on. They talk about, then on page 8, they talk about insurance reimbursements. They talk about a resolution detailing health insurance coverage for the former clerk.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that has nothing to do with the current clerk.
Nothing.
Why is that in here?
That has nothing to do with it.
That's the town board. A prior board passed a resolution, and this current supervisor doesn't like it, so he has stopped complying with it.
Correct.
But that is nothing, it is totally unrelated to the current clerk. Highland, and then World Trade Center Memorial Bank account. Highland personnel have been concerned about the 911 Memorial Bank. And Bonadio concludes, we have no further information on this account at this time. However, it was or still is a town account. At any point in town history, funds of this account should stay under oversight of town officials unless a resolution states otherwise. That's not a clerk's account.
It's not.
That's an outside account that is used to maintain the World Trade Center Memorial, and is managed, if you will, by a group that include Andy Boyer, I understand, former supervisor and chairman of the Board of Supervisors.
He did a great job.
Did a great job. So why does this show up in a town clerk's report?
I have no idea.
I have no idea. This has nothing to do with the clerk's office.
So we have no further information on this account at this time. So again, they can't tell you anything about the account. However, if this was or still is a town account. So they don't know if it's a town account or not.
Correct.
But let's take a swipe at Sue here anyway.
Correct.
Okay? Because you paid us to do this.
Right.
Okay? At any point in town history. So they're saying, we don't know if it is or if it wasn't.
Correct.
But if it ever was, it should stay under the oversight of the town officials unless a resolution states otherwise. Well, why didn't we find out if there was a resolution that said otherwise?
For 54, maybe for 56,000, we'd find that we could ask the supervisor if there was a resolution.
So we know nothing about this account.
Not a thing.
We can't tell you a thing about it.
Right.
But if it ever was, it should stay there. Okay. And we have no idea.
And it has nothing to do with the town clerk.
It has nothing to do with the
nothing
town clerk.
whatsoever.
But let's take a swipe at her.
So there was also an allegation early on that there were DEC materials, hunting licenses, fishing licenses, that was sent to a mysterious separate address.
Okay.
Well, somebody must have made that allegation, and the expectation is that they had some evidence for it, or did they just make it up? Well, Bonadio fills us in on that. There had been a concern identified over DEC tags purported being shipped to an address off-site from the town hall. That's a serious thing. Per review of invoices and receipts from DEC during our scope period, 2022 to 2024, Highlands Town Hall was the only noted address on all documents, and we noted no other evidence indicating otherwise. That's the last line of this report. So, to the person that made the allegations, put up or shut up.
Correct. So, I just want to get this straight. So, we have people, citizens of the town, and we like involved citizens, turn around and say, well, I think this happened. I think this happened.
Right.
I think this happened. They say that they're going to do a query on those, concerns. They make it look ominous, right? And then at the end, oh, by the way, we didn't find
anything.
Okay.
It's Geraldo's. It's Al Capone's vault.
$54,000.
$54,000 for an 8-page document that says we find these anomalies, and we didn't ask the people who would have the answers to these anomalies. I mean, even if you're not asking Sue, you could ask Doreen. Oh, but they had to take a shot at Doreen over this insurance settlement that she made with another board.
Correct.
It's a resolution, and currently the supervisor, without a resolution, has just decided he wasn't going to comply with it. Well, there'll be a judge who will speak on that before too long.
Correct. By the way, you need resolutions.
You need resolutions.
By the way,
you need resolutions, and there was no resolution for this report because they circumvented it and did it through a legal expense, which is fascinating to me, because wasn't the current president indicted in the state of New York for running a payment to somebody that may or may not have had a lawsuit against him, and having his accountants classify it as a legal expense?
Correct. So they said that was an in-kind
correct
campaign contribution.
Yeah. We know this is.
Okay. They went after him on election law. Okay.
Indicted and convicted him.
And that's what this is.
That's exactly what this is.
Whoever's running against Sue has an in-kind campaign contribution.
Correct.
Because they're muddying Sue up. I mean, if people are going to sit here and read all 8 pages, and most people do not.
Correct.
Okay. You will find that this is bollocks. I mean, that's all this is. I mean,
this is trash. This is, as good as Bonadio is, they couldn't even put Humpty Dumpty back together again.
So if you take this $54,000 plus the $80,000 they spent on that building, which is still standing, by the way.
Correct.
And I believe they awarded a bid and told them don't fulfill the bid.
Right.
Okay. Which I'm no lawyer, but if I'm the contractor on that, I'm like, I was ready to go to work. They told me not to do it. I want
to be paid.
I want to get paid.
Sure.
Okay. So that's $80,000 there, $54,000 here, another $55,000. They've spent close to $200,000 for nothing. on a budget. They spent 10% of their budget on nothing.
On getting absolutely nothing. For $54,000, this was a couple of questions by the supervisor when he took office. Walk me through how these things done. I used to see George would go down to the treasurer's office, wasn't challenging the answer, just let me understand how this is done.
Correct.
Or that's done. And he'd go to Public Works, and you were in Angela's office all the time. Not accusing anyone, I want to understand it. John could have done that. He could have asked the county auditor to help him out. He could have asked the county treasurer's office to help him out. He could have asked the current clerk. He could have asked the previous clerk. Could have asked Cooper Arias. He didn't ask any of those people. He hires Bonadio, circumvents the law by hiring him as a legal through a legal bill, and because it says in accordance with our engagement letter dated March 13th, 2025, the Bonadio Group was engaged by Harris Beach Merthyr on behalf of its client, the Town of Highland.
Well, why didn't they engage Cooper Arias and do an audit for $10,000, $15,000?
Do it on January 1, 24.
Correct.
I want to get a baseline of where I'm at. I think there's been untoward things. I want to do an audit now, or maybe they did an audit the year before. I don't know.
The Town of Highland voters need to understand that's only going to get worse.
It's not going to get much worse.
It's going to get much worse.
And folks, we're getting the signal. We've used up most of the hour, but here at Ion Sullivan, we're not endorsing anybody, but you want to be very aware of how your money is being used.
I agree.
$54,000 was used on a witch hunt. We're going to name sue the evil person, and we're going to spend whatever money we have to spend to find something she did wrong.
Correct.
And did they find some accounting anomalies and whatnot? Sure, they did. But they didn't ask the questions of why. And my guess is $5.4 million more deposited. There probably was record keeping that they didn't understand, they didn't get, or they ignored. Because it wasn't just deposited into nothing. Or you'd have a lot of property that wasn't there. The point is, folks, vote for who you want to vote for. But what this administration has shown you is they are ready, willing, and able to use the power of the government, the power of your tax dollars, to suppress anybody that they don't agree
Correct.
with. Be very, very careful about that. Ask those questions, because only your vote stands between what is and can again be a beautiful town in the town of Highland and a complete dumpster fire.
Complete.
That's where we are at. I invite everyone to get this report and go through it yourselves. Rob and I took the last hour, tried to go through the highlights for you. And by the way, you don't need a lawyer to understand this. If you had questions, maybe you'd ask an accountant. But it sounds like it's so specific to the Town of Highland clerk's office, the best person to ask is the Town of Highland clerk. Or if you don't trust her, ask the prior clerk. But you don't ask the people. You truly don't ask the fox to check on the hens.
Correct.
That's not going to be the way to get the best answer. So, last last thoughts, Rob.
So I went to the Bagel Fest this weekend.
Oh, yeah.
Busy, nice deal.
They've done a great job with that. I got to give the chamber a lot of credit.
I have to tell you, it's more than just a block party, as it's been described by some people. It's a great event.
Now, what would all those people that came to the county have done if there was no Bagel Fest?
I don't know the answer to it.
They might not have been here.
They've not been here. Maybe some people stay over. Maybe everyone's got to drive to it.
Sure.
No one walks to it, right? And while you're there, so they're all local vendors,
right?
Who buy their product somewhere, right? So they are spending money. I mean, maybe those vendors don't report the sales tax, but let me tell you, the people who are buying the product to sell it are
sure.
And it's people working, and it's a good community event.
Community event. That's what your whole thing was. is we need events. I spent Saturday in Port Crane with a couple of thousand people. I can assure you, the population of Port Crane isn't a couple of thousand people.
Correct.
And they wouldn't have been there except for there was an event there.
Correct.
That's why we were there.
You got to drive events.
You got to drive events. So, again, folks, on behalf of the chairman, Rob Doherty, this is Mike McGuire. We would ask you, if you want to drop us a comment, you can do so. We ask you to share the link, put it up on your platform, but not just excerpts. We want to share the entire link. If you got a comment, leave us a comment. If you're watching this on YouTube, which a lot of people do, we want you to be sure to
smash
that like button, because we want to get the subscriptions up to 1,000. That's when we can live stream. We can include more people in the dialogue. And folks, what the welfare of this county is all about is opening the dialogue, cutting through the political nonsense, and that's what this report is. It's a political hit job. Understand who's working for the people and who's working for themselves. So, on behalf of Rob Doherty, this is Mike McGuire, thanking you for joining us for another episode of Eye on Sullivan. We'll be back next week with another edition. Be safe on the water, be safe on the streets, and we will see you next week.
Thank you.